What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Welcome back, y'all, to another one. It's good to see you guys here this evening, or I should say this night, I guess. I guess it is late evening, right? But I hope everyone's doing well. We got a few things on the agenda here for tonight that I do want to talk about here. We're gonna wait a few seconds though for everybody to join in here because I know it takes a moment for that to happen. What we got going on down here? Got some rip current statements up in Florida. We do have that frontal system that's kind of rolling through, so that's probably causing some winds to pick up, maybe causing some rip currents and stuff. What's up, Ponderosa? Good to see ya. Good to see ya. Good to see ya. Hope you're doing well. Like I said, we'll just take a second here to wait for people to get in here, and then, ooh, wait, we got a freeze warning in southern Georgia. What's all this about? In effect from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Monday. I had to watch like 3 15-second ads to get in the stream. Oh, that's rough. Let's see here. It'd be like that sometimes, though. It also helps pay for the program. Or yeah, that too. But helps pay for us. What's up, Matt? Good to see you, dude. Hope you're doing well. What's up, Arinola? How do you say your name? Hopefully I'm saying it right. What's up, my dad? Good to see ya. Anyways, folks, like I said, we have a few things we got to talk about tonight. First things first, we do have a winter storm that we're going to be watching here. And the second thing is we are actually watching a bit of a cool down coming in for the country here, which we're going to need to look out for. So I guess first things first, I guess we'll go ahead and pull up the models here because I really want to show you guys here, kind of what the models are talking about here with this cooldown. So it's going to actually come in multiple waves here. You can really see the first cooldown here. I mean, this is coming in here. Well, really, the first cooldown is actually going to be for tonight. Making it a little bit chilly across the south. I mean, we're going to be near freezing. Pretty close to the coast here. Pretty close to the coast. That's kind of hard to say. Anyways, but we're gonna have a really big cooldown here coming up for pretty much the 14th and 15th here. So this is the morning of Thursday, right? So this is Thursday morning. I mean, look how cold these temps do get. It is going to be absolutely ridiculous here. And then, of course, following that, we might even have a second or really a third cooldown here. And this one is going to be happening here right around Saturday and Sunday. And the last one, the one for Saturday, Sunday, might even be even more ridiculous. Yeah, look at those temperatures. These are not feel-like temps. These are actual temperatures to what it will possibly be out there. I mean, we're talking like well in the negatives up north here. I mean, like upper Midwest, we're talking like really ridiculously cold here. Ohio Valley here, well into the single digits again, and just all that mess. It's like, ugh, sucks. A little too cold. I got my hair cut since I've last seen you. It's been a while since I actually got my hair cut, believe it or not. It's probably been a month or so. What's up, Haley? Good to see you. Let's see here. Aaron Nola just means I'm from New Orleans. Oh, I got you. I did not know. Matt said, let's see, so there's going to be a nice warm-up into the 40s. That's a warm-up. That's a cool down for me. Let's see, but return to winter in central Minnesota. Oh my goodness, dude. I guess 40 is warm for you guys, huh? Yeah, I mean, look at those temps, though. It's going to be really, really, really cold. I mean, like I said, we're going to have multiple waves here. Wave number 1 is tonight. It's going to be a little bit chilly tonight for a lot of places here. I mean, like I said, we literally have a freeze warning in effect for southeastern Georgia. Like for Hazelhurst area, Blackshear area, Waycross, Homerville. Goodness. See, freeze warning here. So that's in effect from 3 a.m. this morning here to 9 a.m. Says sub-freezing temperatures as low as 28 possible. That's a little chilly. Definitely a little bit chilly here. Anyways, but that's in place there. But hopping back over to models here. So like I said, first cooldown is going to be tonight. Second cooldown will be coming into pretty much Wednesday and Thursday. Really Thursday morning. It's going to be quite a cold morning here. I mean, look, out there in Alabama, I mean, we could be in the mid to lower 20s, actually, across Alabama here. I mean, Georgia, kind of the same thing as well. Um, kind of right near freezing temperatures out here at the Gulf Coast, which is pretty crazy. But then, like I said, whenever it comes to it, I mean, we're possibly going to have an even bigger one come through for Saturday and Sunday. Mostly Sunday, like morning. I want to compare this with the Euro here. We're gonna add a new panel here. So the left side's going to be the American GFS model, and the right side's going to be the European model. Okay, so let's compare these models here. Give that other panel a second to load. Okay, so here's two different models. Once again, oh wait, why is this GFS? Hold up. We'll do that. We'll do ECMW. I thought they looked a little familiar. A little too similar, per se. Okay, so here we go. So the right panel, you guys can see, this is the ECMWF. This is the European model. The left panel, this is the GFS, the American model. So we work our way down in time. Okay, so both models do project this cold air here. So this is for Thursday morning. This is right around 7 a.m. on Thursday morning. Now, the GFS actually has those temps being a lot colder. A lot colder. Possibly freezing temperatures down towards the Gulf Coast. Now, the Euro, on the other hand, doesn't really have that. It's slightly warmer here by about 5 to 10 degrees. And doesn't really have those freezing temperatures near the Gulf Coast there. Now, the Midwest, I mean, between both models are pretty much on point from the Euro and GFS's perspective. And kind of showing that the Midwest here for Thursday morning, those temperatures, once again, not feel like these are actual temperatures here, but those temperatures here possibly into the teens and at highest probably the lower 20s, which is really, really, really cold. Now, the Great Lakes, it's a little bit of a different story here. Like Upper Michigan, I love how I pointed at Wisconsin and said Michigan. Well, also Wisconsin and Michigan, them both. But, we could be single digits, maybe even locally negatives here for the morning of Thursday. Really, 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 really cold. Now, the Northeast here is a little bit of a different story here. You can see there's a little bit of disagreement for Thursday morning for the Northeast here. You got the European model on the right here kind of suggesting temperatures just barely freezing. Maybe slightly, upper 20s, lower 30s, basically. Then you got the GFS, which suggests possibly even teens. So that's where one of the biggest differences is, with this cooldown here. So that's for Thursday. Now, we work our way further down in time, and like I said, we actually have another round of cold air coming down. Now you can see that we hit the last frame of the European model before we really get too far down in time. However, both models here do suggest the third cooldown to occur. So once again, the first one's tonight, which isn't really going to be that significant. I mean, comparing to the other ones here. I mean, it's going to be pretty cold here overall, but yeah, here for tomorrow morning, it's going to be mid 20s, 30s, across the Ohio Valley. Typical. I mean, you guys have seen this quite a bit here this year. So that's going to be the first quote unquote cooldown. The first big cooldown, though, this is going to be happening here for, like we mentioned, kind of Wednesday going into Thursday, especially Thursday morning. That's where it's going to be pretty cold here. Possibly teens across the Midwest, Ohio Valley, up, the Great Lakes here could be single digits, maybe even negatives here. And then, of course, like I said, then we hit kind of here into Saturday, pretty much. Yeah, Saturday and Sunday. We're going to have another big cool down here. Now, this one's probably going to be the coldest. The one here for the late weekend. So, anyways, you guess you missed it last live stream. Yeah, I mean, I've had it for a while, so. Let's see here. Do schools in the South close down for cool weather? They can. Um, I remember when I lived in Virginia, if temps got like ridiculously cold, then sometimes they do. Um, some areas have better tolerances to colder weather than others. So the threshold in which, or what's the word for it? Uh, the limit at which school gets canceled, it's different to one another, I'm sure. Let's see here. Arkansas always gets their snow slash main freezing temps between January and February. Yeah, that's typical. That's typical for a lot of areas actually. January, February is like the heart of winter. That's like where you have the most crazy weather, temperature wise, snow wise, during the winter months. Which, yeah, that's main part of winter. Um, let's see here. Interestingly, we get our big snows in March and April. Where are you at? Huh. Let's see. What's up, Sam? Good to see you, dude. Alex says, "Hey Andrew, any good news for New Jersey snow on Friday?" Good question. We're actually getting ready to get into that here. Let's clear these maps here. We're gonna talk snow because there might be some snow on the way here. I did a little bit of a short here earlier today, kind of talking about what we're going to be possibly seeing here. So let me bring up the 10-to-1 ratio. So once again, left panel is the GFS model. Okay, right panel is the European ECMWF. So we'll go precipitation, and we'll go to 10-to-1 ratio on both of these guys. So here is the latest verdict with the snowfall. So believe it or not, right now we actually have a little bit of activity going on here. But the main stuff's not really going to come until pretty much, Thursday, Friday. Now, there's two different stories here between the models. Once again, left panel is the GFS model. The right panel is the European ECMWF. So, now, it is a little far out for totals, per se. Typically, I don't like to look at snow totals unless it's, like, at most 2 days before the storm. Typically, the best time to look at totals is the day before the storm. The day of the storm, it could be a little challenging. The day before the storm is really the best time to look at those totals. But we'll look at them anyways, just to kind of see where the models are at, right? It will never hurt just looking at the models here. But so this is actually for Friday. Like we mentioned, Thursday, Friday is when this storm happens. Now, you can kind of see a bit of a difference here between these models right off the bat. First things first, Virginia. The American GFS model suggests maybe some snow for Eastern Virginia, including like Richmond and maybe even northeastern North Carolina. It is a possibility. Now, the European model, as you can see, doesn't really have much. The mountains are kind of in the way here. So here's the thing, though. Both models do actually suggest a potential pretty good amount of snow leading up here to Friday, in which, some pockets could be a good 5 to maybe 8 inches or so, in some of those regions of like northern New York State, maybe even like northeastern Ohio, stuff like that. We could be talking a pretty good amount of snowfall. Now, that was the Euro model, by the way. So the GFS model, you can see, is actually more widespread, and showing a lot more snow, kind of in the range of 5 to 8 inches, kind of out there by like western Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio, and a lot of New York State here. I mean, might even have some pockets of, up to a foot, according to the GFS model. And of course, that lingers up here in New Hampshire and Maine. Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. So it's something we'll definitely need to look out for. Now, as well as the Ohio Valley goes, you can see the GFS model in the left panel here kind of suggests that we could be dealing with maybe 1 to 3 inches, locally higher amounts in some spots throughout like Kentucky, especially central eastern Kentucky. Ohio actually breaking 5-8 inches or so on the eastern side, while the Euro the ECMWF actually keeps it mostly under an inch. So you can see there's a bit of a disagreement there. There's definitely quite a bit of disagreement. So for the snow totals for the Ohio Valley, models still need to work it out, obviously. It's a little bit too early to tell. Once again, the sweet spot for looking at snow totals is usually 1 to 2 days before the storm happens. Any further than that, it really gets complicated. It's pretty complicated even up to the time of. Snow's very tricky to forecast. It really is. There's a lot involved with it. Now, like I said, the Ohio Valley here is it's a big question mark at this point. Now, also the Mid-Atlantic, and who's going to be involved in this snow, it's also still pretty unknown. This should clear up within the next couple of days here. Before the event happens, we should get more of a better understanding of what and where, we can expect things. But, for right now, between the two main models, the Euro ECMWF, once again on the right panel, and the American GFS on the left panel, there's a little bit of different kind of counteracting stories going on right here. Of course, we have southeastern Virginia here, possibly included with some snow with the American GFS, while the Euro kind of has it in the clear here. So that is what we'll definitely need to look out for. Now, the GFS also... one thing I actually will mention here is for the lower northeast. Okay, so for areas like New Jersey, of course Long Island, New York here, some of these areas out in the lower northeast. Now the American model suggests yes, these areas will likely see a pretty good amount of snowfall. It ranges on the totals, as it probably will for a little bit, but mostly some areas here upwards of maybe 2 to 4 inches. Locally higher amounts, of course, will be possible in some spots. But then you got Euro, as you can see, which has a lot of the lower areas of New England pretty much, in not much snow, little to no snow. Now, don't get your hopes down. Like I said, this is stuff that's changing. This is an evolving event. As we continue to get closer and closer to the event, we're going to have more and more information available. Observations will kind of be like, hey, okay, this is where we're at. And the weather models that are processed, the supercomputers, the data that we get, data we collect via satellite imagery, surface observations, radiosonde launches, stuff like that will get plugged into the models, and the models will project the future. Now, like I said, a lot's going to change. Between now and the event. So just keep an eye on it. And of course, we'll be here to give you guys updates on everything, what happens and all that stuff. So we'll be sure to keep you guys, in the loop with everything here. Anyways, let me go and get to some of these comments here. I'm sorry. I get too in depth and I forget to look at the chat sometimes. So I apologize. Let's see here. Let's see. I hope that Southern Kentucky gets snow. I would be so happy. Southern Kentucky, both models do show at least a little bit of a trace. At very least. It seems like GFS is your friend. Yeah. And that'll be falling here pretty much, actually pretty soon here. This shows it for pretty much Wednesday. We could be getting some snow. Actually, both models actually shows a bit of snowfall in the upper elevations of eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina here. So that could be something to look at. Both models agree on that, so it's a likelihood. But is it going to be a lot for those areas? Not really, but it's enough to where you'd be able to see snow for a little bit. But GFS is more of your friend here and showing actual accumulation rather than the European model here, barely showing a trace. Anyways, let me see here. Let's see, is this for Wednesday or Saturday? Thank you for your coverage. Yeah, of course. So the first little round of snow here is actually going to be happening for Wednesday. So you can see, this comes in through Wednesday. It's likely not going to be anything significant. But the main event, the main snowstorm, is going to be mostly taking place Thursday and Friday. Mostly Thursday, actually. So it's going to start Wednesday, go through Thursday, and end on Friday. You can just kind of see how... Here, I'll go ahead and just mark it out for you guys. So we hit Wednesday right here, okay? We go into Thursday right here. And then we hit Friday right here. So it's kind of an event here starting Wednesday, going through Thursday. Thursday's its peak, and it starts to go back down on Friday. So Haley says, "Will Missouri get any snow this week?" Well, out by KC, it wouldn't be impossible to maybe see a little bit of flurries. I don't think we'll see any accumulation. If so, a very low amount. So I wouldn't get your hopes up for it. It's definitely not going to be anything big. Both models agree on not really much happening there, but there is a little bit of snow possible out there. Yes. Let's see here. Is it difficult to let's see here, project if/when a freeze would be a hard freeze? Let's see, 8 to 10 hours below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. I tend to get those 3 to 4 hours before. Let's see, your means out or trading poses. Yeah, outdoors. Well, the models you really want to compare the temperatures of the models. What area are you in, by the way, if you don't mind me asking? Because I could probably look and just kind of show you what the temps are going to kind of be. I mean, we are definitely going to be having some pretty hard freezes coming up here. Like I said, tonight, I wouldn't consider it a hard freeze tonight, of course, but especially going into later weekend, that's where it's going to be really cold, really, really cold, like we talked about here a minute ago. I'll even bring up those temps again for you guys here. We'll do surface. Let's do 2-meter temperature on both of these panels here. So let's do that, and we'll go ahead and get rid of the, or at least toggle off the snow totals here for now. So we're back to temperatures and all. So like I said, tonight, we have a little bit of a cool down here, as you can kind of see. So this is for Monday morning. You can see that we're going to be pretty cold for a lot of the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, even the Southeast here. I mean, some areas out here could be in the mid-20s, which, is pretty chilly, across some of the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley areas. The Northeast, definitely really, really chilly. The upper Midwest here, definitely really chilly as well. But the real big cool downs here, as you can see, the first big blast, this actually comes down once again on Thursday. So this is Thursday morning. And you can see that, at this point in time, the Ohio Valley is going to be either in the upper teens or in the lower 20s. The Midwest here, kind of the same deal. More than likely, though, in the teens. I mean, presented by both models. Once again, just to remind you guys, the ECM European model, ECMWF European models on the right-hand panel, the American GFS panel, the American GFS model is on the left-hand panel here. So, but yeah, the Midwest here, I mean, really shows really cold temps. Really cold temps, but that's not the coldest, unfortunately. And around here for Thursday morning, once again, we could even be in the negative single, digit temperatures here across the Great Lakes and stuff like that. So it's going to be really, really cold. So then we work our way over here into, like I said, kind of Saturday and Sunday here. Now the European model reaches its peak limit here for this in particular run, but we zoom all the way into Sunday morning. Now look at these temperatures. Well into the negatives, possibly even out there by areas like Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, definitely, Iowa, definitely Minnesota. Probably going to be some of the coldest temperatures out there in Minnesota. The Eastern Dakotas here, we're probably going to be down well into the negatives, which could be very, very cold. This is about 160 hours out, which is kind of pushing it for where I like to look, as far as range goes. But, I mean, as you can see here, between the two main models here, I mean, we do have some agreement with this cold air. Minnesota here, this is actually for 10 a.m. on Saturday. Temperatures out here towards, like, Minnesota, negative 10s to maybe even some pockets of negative 20s. And then, of course, the other model here, the Euro, kind of is on point. They're pretty close, actually. But like I said, the Euro model gets cut off because it reaches the end of that run there. But, both models are actually in pretty solid agreement for all these cooldowns here. The one for tonight here, kind of the appetizer, a small taste of what is yet to come, essentially. So we have that, and then, of course, the first big round here, it just gets worse and worse every round. So then, of course, once again, Thursday, it gets pretty darn chilly. And then, of course, working our way over here into the later weekend, it's going to be really, really cold. So just be sure you guys bundle up. Make sure you're ready for it because it's going to be really, really chilly. All right. Anyways, let's see here. Let me get to some of these comments here. Missy says we had a flash freeze here a couple weeks ago, dusting of snow and a glaze of sleet, freezing rain before the snow rolled in. Ooh, yeah, that's sounds like a horrible time. Samuel says, "Hey Andrew, yesterday night was crazy bad, severe weather, thunderstorm, wind hail. Let's see, it was a tornado dropped on EF2, Louisiana City. Was it? Huh? Was it yesterday? I mean, I remember we had that severe weather we covered here quite a bit of. Did they officially rate it EF2? I guess I haven't heard about that, but I mean, I'm not doubting you, but I just haven't seen anything of it. What's up, Roachy? Good to see you, dude. Saying, hey Andrew, how much moisture do I think would be associated with this winter storm by the time it reaches Maryland, DC area? So it seems like the models are in a little bit of disagreement here. With the amount of precipitation. Now, one thing I will look at here actually is something called precipitable water. That kind of determines how much moisture we could have in the air here. So let me bring it up here. Where am I looking? What am I doing here? Sorry, precipitation. I just kind of spaced there for a second. So let's go ahead and load this up. We'll do, I know you're around here somewhere. I see it all the time. Precipitable water. Is it not on this model here? It's gotta be, right? Precipitation rate, that's not it. Where's, do you guys see precipitable water on here? I guess they don't have it for Euro. Okay, let's do GFS. I know GFS has it. There it is. Yeah, GFS never lets us down. Anyways, let's let that load for a second. But regardless, like we were actually just talking about here not too long ago, the models are in a bit of disagreement here whenever it comes to it. Who's gonna get the snow, how much snow, and stuff like that. So we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, honestly, precipitable water totals are actually pretty low here. Surprisingly, they're actually a little bit low. What I am gonna do though, we'll just bring back up the reflectivity for you guys here. So let's do that actually. We'll go ahead and load that on both. So let's put up the let's see, where's it at? The precipitation type reflectivity. Here we go. So then we'll do that. Then we'll do the same for the Euro model here as well. Boom, perfect. Okay, so here you go. So here's kind of a side-by-side comparison here of what the models are talking about here with each storm here. So anyway, so we work away into Wednesday. This is kind of where all the fun begins here. You can kind of see we have a little bit of a line here. This is actually that cold front that's going to be advancing downwards. I need to look into that, actually. I wonder if there's going to be any instability on that. Because usually during these cold front scenarios, you can actually get a lot of warm air advecting north, which can cause temporary surge in temperatures, increasing temperatures, and perhaps maybe even in some instability. That's kind of what happened with the last event here. We had a lot of warm air pull up, the cold air coming down kind of, caused a bit of instability. Let me check into that, actually. Let's do this. I guess we'll do most unstable cape here. I just want to see if there's going to be any instability associated with this. Really, it doesn't look like it, though, to be honest with you. You can see, so this is what the instability or the fuel looks like for storms. It looks like that stays off the coast. That's kind of reassuring, though. It's good because it doesn't look like this is going to be much of a severe weather type of setup, so that's good. Anyways, but yeah, so we work our way through Wednesday, go into Thursday here. Now, as we approach Thursday, so late Wednesday, early Thursday, at this point, both models have a pretty good amount of snow likely falling across areas like the Blue Ridge Mountains, West Virginia, areas like western Pennsylvania here, going up into the northeast here, possibly up through Maine. As you can see, the Euro, the ECMWF obviously has a bit more snow, falling throughout the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley, as opposed to the American GFS. But note, both models still showing a pretty good amount of snow here for late Wednesday going into Thursday. Anyway, so we project our way over here into pretty much late Thursday. You can see a lot of the snow clears up for the American GFS model, but the European model still going pretty strong, across the eastern Great Lakes here, interior northeast here. But then it's not until let's see here. I think that's actually where the cutoff point is. Yeah, because that goes into Friday. and Saturday here. But you know what? Like I said, there's just a little bit of disagreement here between these models. You can see that GFS does kind of want maybe some spots of snow. Um, the GFS yesterday it was really wanting some good snow for the Mid Atlantic. We'll have to see how it plays out. We still can't rule it out by any means. It's still something that needs to be worked out by the models. I mean, because obviously there's a lot of disagreement here. But we'll keep you guys in the loop here with everything that goes on. Anyways, let me get to some more of these comments here. You're welcome, Haley. No problem. Let's see. Covington, Louisiana. You want me to look up your zip code or something? I don't think you're gonna get any snow if that's what you're wondering. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be that crazy. So you're in eastern Louisiana. It will get likely pretty cold out here. Let's go ahead and hide the precip types here for a little bit. Yeah, so you're up here in eastern Louisiana. Now it looks like according to the GFS, it could really get pretty cold out there. I'm actually quite surprised by the differences in the temperature here for Friday morning. Look at that. So out there in eastern Louisiana, the temps kind of show mid upper 30s for the European model, while the American model shows like mid 20s, which obviously the models need to work that out here. But anyways, Missy says, so this is just the appetizers of the main Arctic blast next week. Yeah, so tonight it's going to be a little bit of a taste of cold air, but it's not going to be anything near what we're expecting here for especially later this weekend. Once again, first cool down here, is tonight. You can see it's going to get a little bit chilly, of course, across some of the regions here, Ohio Valley, bits of the Southeast, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, Great Lakes, Upper Midwest. It's going to be pretty cold. Some of the coldest areas, of course, is the upper Midwest here, possibly in the 20s and even the teens up by like northern Wisconsin. Certainly possible. Ohio Valley here, kind of typical, mid, upper 20s. I mean, nothing that you guys aren't really not used to. Northeast, on the other hand, could get a little bit chilly as well tonight here. I mean, we're talking some pretty cold conditions. Some of those upper elevations, could even get maybe towards the single digits in the teens. So gotta look out for that. Anyways, that's today, or that's really tomorrow morning. But so then we work our way over here into the first cool down here, which you can see this is going to be pretty much for Thursday morning. This is where things start to get real cold. At this point in time for Thursday morning, Midwest, as you can see here, temperatures are in the teens and the 20s. Ohio Valley, kind of the same thing. The South here, I mean, you can see Mississippi, Alabama, possibly into the lower 20s. In some spots, really, really cold. Of course, then we got the Great Lakes, which that's going to be some of the worst affected areas here. I mean, temperatures in the negatives. Portions of Michigan, Wisconsin, especially upper state Michigan here. And, of course, Canada. But, I mean, even Minnesota here, too. Really cold temps here. Single digits and negatives in some spots will be almost a certainty between both the models here. I mean, they both agree on it pretty well, actually. Euro seems to want a little bit cooler air coming down. But majorly, mainly I should say, they're pretty similar. But then, of course, like I said, then the main cooldown, the big cooldown comes in on pretty much Sunday morning here. So this is for Sunday morning. Now, like I said, the European model kind of cuts off right here at Sunday morning. So we'll go and end it at 7 o'clock a.m. on Saturday. So hold on a minute. We'll do 7. Oh, yeah, you can see. Yeah, this model ends at Saturday here, but so at this point you can see on the left panel the American GFS model showing those temperatures here. I mean, really cold, ridiculously cold throughout like Minnesota. I mean, temperatures negative 10s, even maybe even higher in some local spots, maybe even close to negative 20s between both models here. It gets pretty close up north. I mean, you can see, some spots here, negative 15 or so from the Euro, negative 15 or so, or actually cooler. Look at that, negative 19 there. Really cold regardless. That's going to be there for Saturday morning. So, and then of course Sunday morning too, it's going to be even colder, which we could see the GFS is per, GFS's take here for Sunday morning. Like I said, the Euro runs out at this point. But well into the negatives here. And you can see just how cold it could get. Remember, this is not feel like temps. These are actual temperatures. A lot of people like to look at feel like temps because they drop the values even lower to make it look more scary. But these are real temps. These are what it's going to be like. Now, there's a difference between wind chill and actual temperatures. You know, yes, the wind makes it feel colder than it really is. But anyways, but yeah, really cold regardless. I mean, this is going to be some biting stuff. It's going to hurt. Really, really cold stuff. So just be careful and keep an eye on it. Anyways. All right, so let's go through more of these comments here. I'm a little bit behind. Let's see here. Haley, as of right now, no. You said, wait, hold on. Do we have any tornado possible severe thunderstorm warnings here in Missouri on January 8th? It's already January 11th. We're past January 8th at this point. But no, we don't have anything severe weather-wise coming up anytime soon. Matter of fact, we just looked at that cold front just to see if there would be any instability on it, but there's not. But no, we're good. No severe weather going on here. Let's see here. What's up, Scott? Good to see you, dude. All right, let's see. What about the North Carolina-Tennessee border? So, in terms of temperatures, pretty cold. But here, let me actually hop back to, we'll do Saturday morning here. So, temperatures here for Saturday morning out there for eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina here. We could be talking, lower 20s, lower mid-20s. A little chilly, of course. It really looks like Friday morning might even be even colder. Look at that. According to the GFS, maybe even like upper elevations in the single digits. While it's really weird, but the Euro shows like teens. Still, both of those are really cold. Really, really cold. We'll actually backtrack a little bit here. So then Thursday morning here, we're talking temperatures in kind of the teens and in the 20s. While the Euro shows lower teens, actually. So really, really, really cold temps out there. Now, I do want to point out something, though, and that is snow. Because I'm pretty sure we were actually just looking at this here. The models were actually showing a bit of snowfall coming into these regions here. So let me pull up our totals real quickly, and we'll go ahead and project those. So, yeah. So it looks like here, mostly between, like, Thursday... Mostly, yeah, for Thursday here. You can actually see we could get a little bit of upper level snowfall. Now, the American GFS wants heavier snow further south. That's what we've determined here with this, with this run here, comparison and stuff. So, for those upper elevations here in western North Carolina here, right on the border in those upper elevations, Tennessee, North Carolina here, we could see a pretty good amount of snowfall, actually. We're talking several inches, possibly well over not a foot, half a foot is what I meant to say. Well over half a foot in some of these areas here, which pretty good amount of snow, honestly, especially in, elevations. It could be a little dangerous, of course. You introduce a slope in winter weather, not a good combination. But anyway, so yeah, that's that. Now, the Euro, like I said, it really downplays the snow comparing the GFS. But there still could be some pockets where we could see pretty good amount of snowfall with, at very minimum, a lot of these upper elevations here at least seeing 1 to 3 inches. But more than likely, it's kind of more in the ballpark of like 5 or 3 to 5 here is what I would go off of. Because that's kind of the median ground, between what the GFS is showing, the 5 to 8 in some of these areas here. And then you got the Euro, which is kind of more like 1 to 3. And the middle ground kind of takes us to right around, 3 to 5 or so, give or take. It could be a little higher, it could be a little lower. Of course, it's going to range. It's going to be different locally. It's not going to be the same for everybody. But anyways, let's see here. All right, let me see here. Hopefully Pittsburgh gets some snow. Well, in terms of Pittsburgh, you might be in luck here, actually. So it seems like as we work our way into Thursday, especially here, Pittsburgh could be getting a pretty good amount of snow. Now, GFS, once again, really wants you to have a lot of snow. Seems like that's common here. Seems like the American GFS really wants a lot of snow. Pittsburgh here, I mean, we're talking... once again, take these totals lightly. These are likely going to change quite a bit by the time it actually gets here. But we're talking maybe 5, 8 inches, locally higher amounts, according to the American GFS. However, you got to kind of look at the other side of things too. Euro kind of is in the ballpark of maybe 3 to 5. Regardless, pretty good snowstorm. Pretty good snowstorm, enough to cause problems essentially. So that'll be on Thursday. So keep an eye out there for that. We'll actually likely get a little bit of winter weather and stuff out here, but we'll keep an eye on it. Models still need to work it out. They're still in a little bit of a disagreement mode here, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it. All right, let's see here. I wonder what the fish in the ocean want in Reno these systems. Maybe. It's funny you say that because I'm pretty sure rain actually can make fish surface, or was it the other way around? I don't remember. I know it has. I know it has actually a surprising effect. With the wildlife out there. All right, let's see here. Let me catch up here. Hey, this is saying here. No problem. All right. Samuel says I think it was week and weekend cold weather at Vicksburg. Yeah. So especially the weekend, it's going to be the coldest here. Yeah, for the South, it's in general this cooldown is going to be mostly a big thing for the weekend here. Here, let me actually bring the temps up again for you guys. Here, we'll bring back up our temps here. So yeah, once again, it's really going to be quite cold here. Coming into really Sunday morning, I think it's going to be one of the coldest mornings here. Once again in the upper Midwest here, by the Western Great Lakes and stuff. I mean, it's going to be really, really cold, like negatives. Now you said in Mississippi here, it ranges actually. Here for Sunday morning, GFS. Actually, let's go back to Saturday morning here because Euro doesn't really pick that up here. So Saturday morning here, near freezing out there. Between both models, Euro a little bit warmer, but anyways, just keep an eye on it. I mean, it's going to be pretty cold for a lot of people though. Absolutely. All right, Misty, I got you. Let's go ahead and take a look at your zip code here. I'll let you know what you're in for. So you are in Missouri. Okay, so you're out in eastern Missouri. Now, you actually might be included with some snowfall, and we'll get into that here in a second. So, first of all, big thing temperature-wise, it's going to be cold, really cold here for Saturday morning here. Out there kind of where you're at here, I mean, we're talking, teens for both of the models. So, models both agree on that. Likely going to happen, considering it is a repeating thing between both of the main models. So, that's good confidence right there. Once again, another cooldown here actually for, backtracking here to Thursday morning here. Yet again, teens, really, really cold air coming down here. But anyway, so first cooldown's really going to be, I mean, it's going to be a little chilly tonight, of course, but first main cooldown's going to be here pretty much Thursday morning, Wednesday going into early Thursday. Then, of course, the next big cooldown is pretty much going to be Saturday going into Sunday. So it's going to be really, really cold. Now, as you can see from the GFS's perspective here, once again, the Euro cuts out at this point, so don't look at the Euro panel because that's not lined up properly. But looking specifically at the GFS, farther down in the extended range here, take this lightly. It is pretty far out, 160 hours out is kind of pushing it. But anyways, here for Sunday morning, temps could get even down as low as single digits. Really cold. Really, really cold. Anyways, snowfall. I almost forgot. So, real quickly, I'll go ahead and actually bring up the snow totals and stuff like that here as well. So, I mean, we could see a little bit of snowfall. Let's go ahead and hide the temperature here. So, it ain't going to be anything massive. More than likely, it ain't going to be too much of anything here. But basically, between now, it really looks like it's going to be coming in maybe Thursday, Friday. GFS model... actually not showing much out there by you, less than an inch. Hardly any snow at all. But then you got the Euro model, which also shows less than an inch, so not very much. Could be at most maybe an inch or so, which, an inch of snow ain't really going to do much. But, hey, you know what? You'll actually be able to see it. Not a whole lot. It does get a lot heavier the east, the further east you go. I think right now the main areas, as you can kind of tell here, the main region... kind of where some of the heaviest of the snow is going to be is really out here. towards the interior Northeast, and also, just off the eastern side of the Great Lakes here. I think that's where the main, the main ones are going to be, or the main impacts, I should say. All right. Let's see. Ponderosa says, "Thank you. You're very welcome. You're welcome, Misty. No problem. You're welcome, Samuel. I got you guys. Yeah. If you guys have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Like I said, we're here for you. We'll be here to help you guys out if y'all have any questions whatsoever here. Anyways, hopping over here real quickly. I do want to show you guys what's going on right now. So we do actually have a bit of snowfall going on in the Northeast. We actually had some really heavy snow that was happening here earlier. Here, let me actually bring up the composite reflectivity here. We'll pull up precipitation type here as well. So if we hop over here, we do actually still have a little bit of snowfall ongoing here, across the Northeast. It actually has calmed down a lot since earlier. We did that 6 p.m. update here on our YouTube Shorts earlier. I mean, it was really coming down. I mean, we still do have some spots where, it's snowing pretty good here. It actually looks like out there kind of by New Hampshire, we actually have a bit of snow, which, I can confirm when looking over here at the main radar here, the southern Maine radar. You can still see there's some pretty heavy bands out here. Now, given some of these rates here, these high reflectivity values, DBZ, suggests fat flakes, big flakes, quick accumulation over a short period of time. And, we're talking rates several inches per hour, in some of these bands here. So these guys, you got to look out for them. And they might be small, but they pack a punch. They do. Depending on the movement of these guys too, how fast they're moving determines how much you get. But like I said, several inches an hour in some of these heavier cores is kind of what we could be seeing there. So that could quickly drop, some decent snow. Anyways, but yeah, I do want to hop you guys over here. Actually, we're gonna clear these panels once again. I do want to look further in depth here with like, severe weather and stuff. Like I said, I don't think we have anything severe weather going on per se. Here, let's remove that here. Let's go ahead and bring up our instability again. Here, we'll do, actually, let's hop over to the GFS model here now. We'll do that. We'll do thermodynamics. We'll do mixed layer cape. Convective available potential energy. So this is what we're looking at here. Give it a second to load. So it seems like a lot of the instability, a lot of the fuel for thunderstorms remains off in the waters. You can see the Caribbean, the Western Atlantic. We have a good amount of instability out here, but that's not going to be a problem for the U.S., so that's good. I mean, really, this is between now and the next, 150 hours or so. I mean, really, there's, no instability at all going to be in place for the U.S., so that's actually really good news. And that tells us that there's going to be no severe weather anytime soon, at least for the next, week or so. So we're looking good with that. Looking real good with that. So definitely not expecting any severe weather. That's good. But yeah, the main thing now is cold air and snowfall. That's really the main thing that we got to look out here for right now. That's the main things. Haley, they're doing pretty good. Let's see. So to get a snowstorm for the DC area, where does the low area of low pressure have to be close in instead of what direction would it have to be? So typically for a storm system like that, you really want that low hugging as close as possible to the mid-Atlantic northeast coast. But that's not the only thing here. You could have a low there, you could have little to no moisture, and you won't get snow. That's kind of the problem. I think it's a moisture issue for the mid-Atlantic here. That's what's making the models a little squirrely right now. So we'll have to see. But yeah, typically, for a really good mid-Atlantic snowstorm, you'd want that low just off the coast of the mid-Atlantic and kind of riding up the coast. Now, what I can do, and what I will do, is bring up the MSLP, which is mean sea level pressure. That's what that stands for. So that'll show us the isobars, which tells us a area that is equal pressure. So we'll make that a little bit thicker here. So as we work way down in time, going into Thursday, you could actually kind of see that low up here. It's up here by the northeast. But once again, this seems to be maybe a bit of a moisture issue, in the moisture actually getting over to some of these areas here. Position of low has a lot to do with it as well. But it's kind of a combo thing, where the low is essentially going to be and how much moisture is going to be available. So that's that. Now that's the GFS here. Now comparing the Euro model, so we'll go ahead and load up the Euro too for that frame. You can kind of see that. Yeah, I mean they're both kind of in the similar agreement here. I believe actually the Euro has that low a little bit further west. And if I recall correctly, Euro was the model that did not suggest any snowfall for Lake Virginia, while GFS did show a little bit of Virginia, a little bit of snow in Virginia. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. Like I said, obviously models are in a bit of disagreement here. I mean, we still have a couple of days before this event happens, but obviously both models don't agree with each other right now. So hopefully here very soon we'll have a bit more of an agreement, between those models and stuff like that. So anyways, let's see. Hope my question makes sense. Appreciate it. No, it does. It makes total sense. I hope I answered it for you, the right way. I'm not the best at explaining some things, but I try my best. Let's see here. Samuel, thank you. I appreciate it, dude. Thanks, Haley. But anyways, everybody, we're kind of pushing an hour here. It's getting a little bit late. But if you guys have any questions, before I roll off here, do not hesitate to ask. Yeah, one of the things is, with the ISO bars here, once they're squished together like that, that tells us that the pressure is changing dramatically over a short period of time and over a short distance. So basically, the air is flowing from higher pressure to lower pressure a lot faster at this gradient, which means the winds get kicked up quite a bit. What's up, Brady? Good to see you, dude. I can actually show you. I guarantee you, right here, where these ISO bars are, if I pull up the wind gusts, they're going to be pretty heavy. What do accumulated? I bet it's going to be real heavy in this area. Yep, look at that. 40 mile an hour wind gusts. And especially over the open waters, where there's nothing blocking the flow. I mean, not totals, but I guess totals. The wind speeds could be higher, because there's really no obstacles for to break it, essentially. Because on the surface, on land you have trees and buildings and stuff like that block a lot of these heavier winds. But once you're out in the open water, there's nothing to block it, and the flow is smooth. There's more friction essentially over land than there is over water. Let's see here. It's supposed to be sunny here the next 2 weeks. Well, there you go. Yeah, probably the same for here. Actually, I think here in Florida we're supposed to get something on Wednesday, some rainfall. Let's see here. 4XA, 4 times the A, says, hi, wondering if it's going to snow in the zip code of Tennessee on Wednesday. Well, let me look. Let's see what we're dealing with. Yes, the models did show a little bit of snow for some areas of Tennessee. So, first of all, let me figure out which area you're in here real quickly. Okay, so you're right around Nashville. Gotcha. All right, so according to Euro, we'll bring up the precipitation. We'll do 10-to-1 ratio here. So look at Euro first, and then we'll look at the GFS, okay? So according to the models here, so we approached Thursday. That's kind of where the main snow is going to be falling. Unfortunately, Euro, I don't know if you like snow or not. If you don't like snow, this is good for you. If you like snow, this is not very good for you. Because Nashville is outside of it. Now, in theory, there could be possibly, given that we're near snow, there could be a few flurries. I mean, if a band kind of wanders out there. But honestly, it wouldn't be much. It wouldn't be much. Even if you were going to get some snow, like some of these eastern areas here, it wouldn't be much. So that's Euro's perspective. GFS, on the other hand, now GFS has actually been a little bit more, aggressive with the southerly snow. If you look at it here, actually, as we go our way into Saturday, we might have a little bit of snowfall. It wouldn't be anything more than an inch. According to GFS, you can see, maybe half inch or so. Let's actually go back to Euro again, because I don't think I looked this far, actually. Let's see here. So going into Saturday, yeah. So Saturday, yeah, kind of the same thing here. Actually, a little bit lower. Euro's under a half of an inch. So, like I said, pretty much nothing more than an inch would be expected. If you were to get anything, it would be likely a half inch or lower. But yeah, just don't count on anything big. Let's see here. Looks bad for Gatlinburg. Where's Gatlinburg? I know it's somewhere in Eastern. I always have a hard time finding it. Where is Gatlinburg? It's gonna drive me crazy. I know somewhere around here. Let me just pull it up on this here. It wouldn't be a whole lot. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, yeah, you're kind of. Yeah, I've actually been to Gatlinburg before. It's a really cool place. Where is it at? Where is Gatlinburg? This is gonna drive me wild, dude. I can't find it. It's like right around here. Anyways, along the area by Gatlinburg here, I mean, a couple of inches, yeah, from the Euro model. You know, really those upper elevations, you know, between eastern, eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina, you know, seems to be possible. Pretty good amount. All right, let's see here. Glock says, how about Lexington Park, Maryland? Good question. Yeah, the Mid-Atlantic is a little iffy, you know, on the totals and stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, you're kind of right there by the Chesapeake Bay area. Gotcha. Yeah, see, your area right now is a little tricky. You can see the European model between now and Saturday doesn't really show any accumulating snow. Not really much snowfall occurring. Now, the GFS was the model that kind of wanted some more snow out there, as you can kind of see, you know, going through Saturday. Not a lot, though. Not a lot. Just enough to say, hey, yeah, really, I really wouldn't expect much as of right now. But, you know, remember, between now and Saturday, you know, this is actually still about 120, 130, 40 hours out. So it's still days away, in which there could be some changes between now and then. You know, I've actually seen the GFS model. It was yesterday. Was like really wanting a big storm out by the Mid-Atlantic, and that now it's like, no. But it could change. You know, it could flop back. Who knows? But as of now, wouldn't expect much, honestly. You know, it seems like totals have gone down between the models. And that's to be expected. You know, like I was mentioning earlier, guys, I don't really like to look at totals unless it's 2 days before the event or before. The reason I am doing it now is that way we can see the evolution of the models. Like I said, 2 to 3 days, or 1 to 2 days before the event happens, that's pretty okay for looking at storms. But, you know, given we're 3+ days out, totals become a little iffy. But the only reason we do this is just to see the evolution as we go throughout, just to see what's changing, you know, where is changing. It's very important with forecasting. You've got to look at the smallest differences, see what the models agree, what they disagree on, what they agree on, keep, what they disagree on, throw out the window, as well as, you know, stuff like that. It's just, yeah. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it, but I wouldn't expect a whole lot right now. What's up, NA? Good to see ya. I don't know how you say your name. Is it Nalu? Hope you're doing good. Good to see you, man. Does Sharon, Pennsylvania have anything to worry about? Let me look. So Pennsylvania actually could get a pretty good amount of snow here, especially western. And you are western, actually. So you're up by right on the border of Ohio and Pennsylvania here. So yeah, this is actually one of the areas that really could see a pretty good amount of snowfall. So here's the thing. Okay, so GFS is by far the most aggressive. Okay. This model actually kind of suggests possibly 5 to 8 inches of snowfall. Some pockets lower, some pockets higher. Overall, pretty good snowstorm. But then you compare this to the Euro model, you know, the ECMWF here. So whenever it comes to it here, I mean, Euro, believe it or not, I mean, still shows a pretty good amount of snowfall. This is actually kind of where the models agree the most, is out by this area. This model kind of shows, you know, upwards of like 3 to 5 inches out there. I would say, you know, at least 2 to 4 inches could be expected. Don't be surprised if those totals change a little bit here. I mean, this is pretty far out. You know, there could still be some changes here, but for now, I'd say at least 2 to 4, if not higher, you know, would be possible. So keep an eye on it. It's definitely something to watch for sure. You know, it definitely could be something to look out for. Could really materialize into something. Anyways. Muted? No, doesn't look like it's muted on my end. Oh, is your end? Okay. Oh my goodness. Anyways, guys, well, if y'all have any questions, be sure to let us know in the comments before I roll off here. see here. Thanks, I warned my parents. Yep, no problem. You're very welcome. Like I said, it's still a little early to be for sure with everything. We're just gonna keep you updated. We'll keep going over this here every day until the event happens, of course. Like I said, day before the event and 1 to 2 days before the event happens, the best time to look at snow totals. But once again, the only reason I'm doing it now is just so we can see the process, the evolution of the models and kind of how they're showing this play out. It's very important. It's important to look at not just one particular model. It's never a good idea to just look at one model. It's good to look at multiple models and see what they agree and disagree on. Not only that, multiple runs of those models too. It's very important. But anyways, folks. But yeah, if y'all have any questions before I roll off here, we just hit an hour mark. It's getting a little bit late here. I better head off for now. But we'll be back here tomorrow. We'll give you guys some more updates on everything tomorrow. We should hopefully have a little bit more stuff to talk about here tomorrow. But hey, man, like I said, when it comes to severe weather, we're good for at least the next week. So I'm really happy about that. We don't have any severe weather going on, anything like that. Main thing is cold air coming down in multiple waves here. Once again, we have one coming down here for Thursday. We have another one coming down for Sunday. So we'll definitely look out for that. And, not severe weather. We're not seeing severe weather, like I said. But winter weather is something we'll need to look out for. But anyways, everybody, well, thank you all so much for stopping by. If you're new to the channel, consider leaving a like, hitting that subscribe button. It'll be greatly, greatly appreciated, everybody. Thank you all so much for your kind love and support. We love you guys very, very much. But anyways, everybody, so that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight here. Once again, thank you all so much for stopping by. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night and a good day tomorrow. And we'll see you guys later on tomorrow. All right, everybody, thanks for joining. We'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.